I worked with kids for many years, even in the classroom, yet and still I had to pull my own son out of school. Now, if that seems like a contradiction, just stick with me because there is more to the story. My name is Cheryl, and I'm a homeschool mom. More like I was kind of forced to become a homeschool mom and not work a regular 9 to 5 anymore, but yet I still aren't living at home. And if you feel like you can relate to this, just wait. So, while when it first came to me deciding that I had to pull my son out of school is when I was getting multiple calls every single day to either pick him up or he's been suspended for something. In the school that he was going to knew that I worked. I worked at another one of the public schools. And that did not last very long because even at the beginning of the school year, I was constantly called to pick him up. So I ended up getting in with another school that the times, my start times was different. So I went from public school to a more private school where it was a complete Head Start program. But even with that, there were suspensions, and to the point to where I actually had to bring my son to work with me. And there was so much that happened throughout and in between to where the only decision that I had was to pull my son out of school and homeschool him. So the best thing that I can think of where I could get a good balance was doing an online school that was certified with my state and recognized with my state. So once starting that, we still had some challenges. And some of those challenges that we had starting off with homeschooling came from him being in public school. And while doing that, I was out of work and still trying to figure it out, which was a lot of the hard part because so much had happened in the school and I did so much to advocate for my son. But even with all of that, everything that I've done and everyone that I had put alongside me, it just didn't work. And the school really didn't care that I worked for the same school system as they did. It just wasn't helping, really. And it was so heartbreaking. We went through so much. It was so many hard times. And just like literally trying to figure out like, okay, so what are we going to do next? What are we going to do? But eventually this became the ultimate decision. Sometimes homeschooling ends up being the best solution for you and your child, because not only does the calls and everything become overwhelming and become too much, and the things that your child is going through at school, I later realized, and I'm only realizing this probably like in the last couple of months, that I was traumatized too by all the different situations that had happened, and that some nights I wake up kicking myself over certain situations and things that happen, and still trying to help my child get through while also trying to help him be successful with homeschooling. This is not a route that I had planned for. It's not a route that I thought that I would be doing, but believe it or not, the school system is actually different, a lot different than it was when I was a child. It's totally different. How they teach and how they handle situations, how they respond to children, how they respond to parents. Everything is absolutely different, and it's crazy. I was working at a school the school that I went to as a child, elementary, that was the last public school that I was hired at. But it wasn't, it was the same school name, but a different location, because the school building I went to had actually ended up closing down years after I had been out of school. But they had a new location, which was the location that I had started at and couldn't even hold long because of all these situations. So there's still things that we still have to take care of when it comes to schooling, the school system. Right now, we're in the midst of, or I am in the midst of, trying to get my son's school records. They're giving me a hard time about giving my school records because there's a lot of things on there that are not true and that needs to be expunged, because some of the things that we went through and that other parents have been through, and I actually learned recently that more parents still go through these things where your child is being written up and suspended and everything as young as preschool age. And when they write things on their record, these things go with them throughout their school life. So from preschool, if you start them in a public school where they start at pre-K and all the way up to 12th grade, those records follow. So the description that they describe of your child at 3, 4, 5, 6 years old is not the person that your child ends up becoming when they become a teenager and when they become a young adult in high school. But as long as that's on the record, that's the first thing that everyone sees, because your 2-year-old is not going to be the same when they turn 6, when they turn 8, where you were dealing with tantrums and things like that. You're not going to deal with that with your 8-year-old when they become 8, because they phased out of that. But when they build a record on your child when they're only 3, 4, and 5 years old, that record sticks with them all the way up until when they're in middle school, all the way up until when they're in 11 and 12th grade. This record, it stays on there. And the hard thing about it is it builds a stigma around your child no matter how many schools you try to take them to. It builds this stigma around your child and you, because not only do they write about your child, what your child have done and what happened, they write about you too. You're in there too. I learned that. Just a year or two ago, that they also write in there too. So if you become a difficult parent because you're trying to advocate for your child, then yeah, they're gonna write about you too. And now all of that is what's being sent to the school. So not only do they see your child, they see you. And they see how you advocate. And, well, they don't see how you advocate, but how you advocate for your child, they write the stigma about you as the problem parent because you're speaking up for your child that cannot speak up for themselves. So that's just a little bit of our story. It's just so long and so much we went through. And I definitely built this channel so that I can help parents and give them some of the things that, give you guys some of the things that I learned to help me and to protect me and my son as we were going through this whole process. Because a lot of people are still going through it now and wondering, like, they're writing about us. What can I do to protect myself? What do I need to do in certain situations? And I think a lot of the pushback from them came because I also was a part of the school system. So if I'm pointing out things that I know that they're doing wrong, just being a teacher myself, then they don't like that either. So it just becomes a big thing. But I say that all to say that you can homeschool your child and earn a living online, because I know that's the biggest part with some parents. Like, I can't just do that. I can't just take them out and do that. But you can't keep putting your child through what they're going through, because they literally, your kids are going through stuff in those schools. And I just wanted to share and let you know that you're not alone. You're not. So if you can relate, please drop it in the comments. Drop your story in the comments. Subscribe, because part 2 is coming, and I want to share and help you learn a little bit more about the school system and about homeschooling, if that's something you choose to do. So subscribe. Drop it in the comments. I love to hear from you and everything else. So thanks again. My name's Cheryl, and talk to you later.